Alright, peace and greetings YouTubers. So welcome to the next edition of my video series entitled The Race Files. And in this specific video, I want to talk about this new movement that's sweeping the nation. Well, it's not actually sweeping the nation. It's always been around. The people who think with this mentality have always been here. There was just never a name for them. And now that Pharrell has made it commercially universal, we can talk about it. And I'm speaking about the new blacks. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Now, when Pharrell made his statements about the new blacks, originally I felt some type of way about it, but I said I'm not going to waste all my energy on it because I have to remember that Pharrell is so super rich that, you know, when you start just getting stupid rich money where it's just super rich money, you start thinking differently. You say some things and you just brush it off. So, you know, he said that in the spring and I continued to dance to Happy and I was happy, and then the Mike Brown situation happened, and by then Happy had died down. But what happened was the Mike Brown situation took place, and as I followed the story and I just looked at the feedback and the commentary that many people on social media were saying, you know, on like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, I noticed that there was a huge chunk of black people who basically were saying a lot of things that threw me off, like things like, you know, well, had Mike Brown done this, he'd be living, and he should have been stealing the cigarettes, and oh, you gotta let justice prevail, and why are you guys out there protesting? This is not about race. You gotta move past race. In order to move forward in life, you gotta stop looking at the past. You're never gonna get anywhere. Racism only exists when you make it. There's only one race, the human race. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, Pharrell, you got like a whole following, and like you and Ben Carson can just, I don't understand. So here's the actual quote. Pharrell, he was on the OWN network with Oprah, and you know, they're doing rich people talk, and he says, the new black doesn't blame other races for our issues. The new black dreams and realizes that it's not a pigmentation, it's a mentality, and it's either going to work for you or it's going to work against you, and you've got to pick the side you're going to be on. And when he said that, I said to myself, and to Pharrell, I said, Pharrell, silly me. Silly everything. I've just been going about it the wrong way. Me and the 49 million of us that live in America that are black, we've just been going about everything the wrong way. We have to change our mentality. So I said, self, you, me, self, let's change our mentality right now. So I'm changing it right now. It's changing because it's changed now. Now this is the new mentality. So now that I have this new mentality and I've changed my way of thinking and I've chosen to be on the side that's going to work for me, I'm going to go to work tomorrow. I'm going to get my promotion. I don't have to worry about the district that I live in ever being gerrymandered again in the next political election. I don't have to worry about the lady clenching her purse when I walk in the elevator. I don't have to worry about being pulled over because I have a new mentality and I am a new black. So when he said that, I just, so many different emotions popped up because this is my thing. I agree with the fact that as a community, we have to hold ourselves accountable and we also have to put in the work in order for us to get to success. But I do not agree with the idea of almost just dismissing everything that's happened in the past and saying that if we just put on our thinking magical mentality cap, that all will be well and there will not be problems that plague us and there will not be things that are trying to stop us as we go on our journey to success. That's what I do not agree with. And literally what got me is, had somebody white said that exact same statement, we would have been in outrage. There would have been, Al Sharpton would have been on every channel and radio show. Like, picture if Paula Deen would have said this statement in response to when everybody got mad about her saying the N-word and wanted her black employees dressed like slaves for the wedding. Picture if she would have said, okay, yeah, it's all mentality, guys. It's just a word. Now listen, you can be on the right side of your mentality or the wrong side. Now, if you're on the right side, just put on the freaking costumes and dress like slaves and do this wedding. It's a traditional Southern thing. It's not about race. You guys make everything about race. Just put on a slave costume. Come on. All right. Now, had she had done that, I don't know what would have happened to her, but Lord, it would have been the end of the world for Paula Deen for 2 weeks, and then she would have had her empire back. But here's my thing. I'm not a fan of this whole new black ideology because new blacks seem to see through a very limited scope and lens. And for me, I feel that new black is an excuse to be lazy and complacent when it comes to social issues that affect your own community, the black community. New blacks, I'm talking to you. New black is an excuse to allow racism and certain forms of supremacy to continue to plague our community because you choose not to see it anymore. New black is an excuse to allow racism to continue to take place. New black is an excuse to not stand for anything. New black is an excuse to want to fit in with everybody else and not piss off anybody and make sure that you walk on eggshells because it's okay because you see through a different lens. That's what I see when I see new black. Okay, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Imagine if you have a favorite restaurant that you go to every Sunday, and imagine that you are lactose intolerant. I am in real life. But imagine that you're lactose intolerant and every Sunday you order some random dish and you always request that they do not put any cheese in it. Now, you order the food, they bring you the food, and there's cheese in it. And this isn't like the cheese that you can just peel off and scrape to the side. It's like some type of creamy mess, so it's all in it. And because you're a new black, because you have a new mentality, you're like, oh, darn, they messed up my food. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to ask them to kind of, can they take this back and, bring me a version without the cheese because I don't want to be sick. I'll just change my mentality because this is an opportunity to try something new. I'll just eat it. So you sit there and eat it, and then you're hurled over at work the next day in the stall and can't ever leave the bathroom because you're sick. And then you go back the next week, and you order the same dish. And guess what happens? They do the same thing. But don't worry. I'm changing my mentality. It's all just about how I perceive everything. So I'm going to go ahead and eat the same food that's going to make me sick. But I'm going to eat it. And oh my gosh, it's Monday. I'm at work again. I'm rolled over. My stomach is bubbling. And there's this meeting. And it's dead silent. And everybody can hear my stomach bubbling. But Lord, it's a new mentality. It's just how I see things. And then you go there a third weekend in a row. And you do the same thing. And you sit there and eat that same food with the nasty cheese in it. They keep messing up your order. And you're not saying anything because your mentality teaches you to be complacent and just accept things for the way that they are. So now you go to work that third time. You have not been able to get any work done because you can't leave the bathroom. Guess what? Boss man, boss lady is going to give you a referral and send you home for the week with no pay because you're just not doing your job effectively. As a matter of fact, you might be getting fired. But you know what? If I get fired, it's just a mentality. It just means room for more opportunity. Just have to change my mindset. That's what I get from this whole new black movement. I am just not a fan of it. And here's my thing. It's important that we embrace and follow our history. All right? Unfortunately, the way that society has been set up, our history is plagued with a lot of sad hardships. And those hardships, unfortunately, the white population, the white community is a part of that. And as much as I love everybody, this is not a video to bash white people. We have to accept that, hey, there have been some things in our past, our present, and that will take place in our future that will affect us because of the color of our skin. Well, no matter, even if we don't see color, that's not an option. Other people do. Other people who don't see, I don't want to hear it, okay? So here's the thing. Even when we try to bring up this whole mindset of, well, it's just all mentality, you just have to change the way you think. Let's just think about it. In history, any time that we as a people have ever gotten anything or amounted to something or progressed or moved forward, there was always some greater power that shut that crap down. Whether that was Black freaking Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you had this entire affluent community that's doing so well, doing so great, and some people just couldn't stand the fact that their black neighbors to the other side of town were doing a little bit better than them because they felt that, hey, we just came back from World War I, and what the hell are you people doing? Oh, hell no, burn it down, all right? Whether it's just a bunch of different things, whether it's black codes being put into place, whether it's convict leasing, whether it's gerrymandering, whether it's the 3 strikes rule, whether it's no child left behind. There's a bunch of different policies and procedures and things that have been put into place every single time we've ever had something, and it's always been shut down. All right, so I feel that it's important that we know our history and we know what's happened in the past so that we don't let things like that happen again, because history can repeat itself in different forms. Here's an example. Let's talk about slavery really quick for like 20 seconds. So you know how when they used to feed the slaves and maybe you go and you throw some food down that would be enough to feed 40 people. Unfortunately, at the bottom of the ship, there was 400 people. And unfortunately, the bottom of the ship could only hold 100. So you had this small portion of the ship that had too many people in it, and you purposely didn't have enough food. So when you threw it out there, they all beat each other up and fought each other. And because they were also split up by languages and they couldn't speak the same languages, nobody trusted each other on the bottom of the ship. So they're fighting and killing each other on the bottom of the ship. May the best man win. Let's fast forward to 2014 and go to a DTLR when they have a new set of Jordans come in. What do you think happens? The exact same thing. So when people choose to ignore the past and they just only want to see the future and act like nothing before kind of carves the way things are today, that's the problem we run into. So this is why I'm not a fan of the whole new black movement, because I think it's something that's very foolish. And another thing that I noticed in the past, back when we used to actually speak out, when we used to actually know how to mobilize and do different things, and we were very socially conscious about our own community and about, black this, black that, I noticed that, in my opinion, we were more successful. There were more strong black communities. There were more inventions being made. Even the standards for how we carried ourselves were a lot better. And as the generations changed, and as the latter half of Generation X came out, as my generation came out, as the generation after mine is coming up, we've been taught to be colorblind. We've been taught not to see color. We've been taught that racism no longer exists and that everything is an equal playing field, and we just need to go with the flow of things. And as it's happened, look at the condition of our community where things have gone now. I don't believe that we are as progressive as we used to be. Yes, we have tons and tons of scholars graduating from college. That's beautiful. Yes, there's lots of great things happening, but at the same time, there's lots of atrocities that are taking place that I don't think should be taking place in 2014. And you just look at the standards of how we carry ourselves in entertainment. Like, in this day and age, as an entertainer, if you want to make it, your best option is to coon out and act a freaking fool on TV. Love and Hip Hop all freaking day. And now they're in 3 cities. So if they add 1 more city, there'll be a Love and Hip Hop series for every season. Fall, spring, winter, summer, Love and Hip Hop all year. Or if you look at music, you know, there used to be a time where we owned our own, well, not really, but there used to be a time where we had a little bit more say in what we did as entertainers when you go back to the 70s and the 80s. And there were just standards and we had foundations into what, or I'll say we had substance into what we put out. And because we were all on such a high with our success, we didn't really pay attention to a lot of things. And lots of corporate people came and bought out our industry. So today in 2014, if you want to be a rapper, the only way that you're going to make it is if you come out with some coonerific, shoot 'em up, kill 'em, F 'em in the F nigga, shooter, pop, molly, I got money, well, all day. That's the only way you're going to get any commercial success. As a female entertainer, the clothes must come off, all right? Notice how in the last 10 years, female entertainers no longer wear pants, especially the black entertainers, all right? I love Beyonce. I kind of sometimes enjoy Rihanna. You know, all these entertainers, they never have pants on. You can see their uterus every time they go on stage. They be right there, legs wide open, spread, just getting it in. And it's not because they're not, well, it's not because Beyonce's not talented. All right, Beyonce can sing, she can dance, she can do all that stuff. However, she's a part of an industry that now exploits the hell out of these women and makes them have to do certain things in order to appeal to the masses. Look at Nicki Minaj. In order to get successful, you need to talk about your booty that you went and got injected, because that's the only thing that will make it on pop radio. And now, on top of that, now that there's appropriation of black music by many white entertainers, we're going to also go and make fun of you guys, and we'll do the same thing that you guys are doing, but we'll also get paid more for it. So it's a hot mess. So, and this is my thing. I feel that if you are somebody who's up to par with history and just how the world works, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you would not even utter something like what Pharrell said about this whole New Blacks thing. Because when you really dig deep into the history, I'm talking about real history. I'm not just talking about Martin Luther King and somebody got sprayed with a hose and Obama's president. I'm talking, let's get to the real gist of things. Let's talk about history before we were slaves, because you know our history always starts with slavery. Let's talk about some real things. Let's talk about the fact that Egypt has the least amount of pyramids in the continent of Africa with the countries that have pyramids. However, we've always just been taught that Egypt is the only civilized nation in Africa, blah, 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 blah. Hello, go down the street to Sudan. All right, 225 pyramids. Well, I guess Sudan's 2 countries now, so hey. But I'm just saying, things like that. When you are in a position to really know who you are as a group of people and you know all the things that you've accomplished, and then at the same time you've known and you see all the things that have been put in place to kind of stop you from being great, whether that's voter ID laws, voter disenfranchisement, gerrymandering, these stupid policies and crap that are going on in the school systems, it makes you cautious and aware. So when you have children, when you have friends, people that you care about, you want them to do well and you want them to be successful, but you also make sure that they are alert and that they apply themselves and do not settle for being mediocre, because mediocrity does not make it in 2014 as a minority in this country or on this planet. So things like that are important to me. So I get frustrated when somebody like Pharrell does that. I get frustrated when I go on Twitter and I see all these black people who are so pressed to try to fit in with the masses. And I love everybody. Do what you do. However, do not try to repress who you are to try to fit in with somebody else who does not care about you in the first place. Because at the end of the day, you're getting in the black line with the rest of us, okay? If the world were to end today and they had a bunch of ships lined up and we had to get in these ships by race, there's not going to be a new black ship. There's going to be a black ship and we all get on that same ship. And you can best believe that something's going to happen to that ship where this ship never makes it off the planet because they forgot to put gas in it, okay? I don't know. And you have to just think, like, Pharrell, I enjoy his music, but of course, he's speaking from a place of wealth. And he's been successful in this music game since the 90s. So, of course, he sees things differently. Even though I'm like, bro, you from Virginia, okay? Don't act like you grew up in San Francisco. Because, you know, the West Coast is like another planet. I'm from there, so yeah, it's just different. So people see race a lot differently. There's still issues there too, but people see it differently. But, bro, you came from Virginia, okay? You came from the capital of the Confederation. Or Confederacy, whatever you want to call it. Like, get out of here. So it's just, you have to be aware of how society works. It's fine to embrace other cultures. It's fine to try to, you know, everybody wants to be this mass utopian. That's beautiful. I love it. However, don't repress everything about you and don't pretend as if there aren't any issues, there aren't any concerns, everything's an equal playing field, and it's just all of us are thinking the wrong way. Our mindsets and mentalities are wrong. We just have to fix how we think about things. That's a problem. Think about the fact that when you go to work, you have to code switch. You have to change the way you talk. Oh, a lot of us. I don't, because I ain't no punk. I was playing. But, you got to pronounce those E's and R's. Think about your kids. Your kids speak one way in the house. However, when they go to school, they're taught to read and write a different way because they're taught that the way that they speak at home is wrong. And in my opinion, the dialect or the vernacular that you use in the region that you live in and in your culture, I don't see a problem with it. However, the way that society is built, everybody is taught that we have to turn into something that we're not in order to fit in. I'm not saying that we are an illiterate group of people because we are not. However, I feel like there is more pressure put on young black kids who go to school and have problems reading and writing because they have to literally learn English twice. The English that they learn at home and the English that they learn in school. And even though they only use this English that they learn in school, at school, and not with their friends, not at home, not at the church, not at the barbershop, not in the store, imagine how confusing that is. That might explain why there's so many issues with so many young minorities, and that includes the Latino community too, when it comes to, just stuff like, reading and writing comprehension skills. If you look at the history behind what standardized testing comes from, that explains exactly what I just talked about 2 seconds ago when it comes to reading and writing. All right, I don't feel like talking about it because the video is getting too long, and maybe I'll do it in another video, but hey, check out the history behind standardized tests. All right, there's a reason why minorities do so terrible on GMATs and LSATs and GREs and SATs. It's not because we're dumb. It's because these tests are set up in a way where they purposely are not even set up to kind of fit in with the scope of how we see things or how we articulate or how we do anything, because culturally those tests do not represent how we operate. They don't represent how we speak. They don't represent how we think. Anyway, new blacks. Share your thoughts, share your opinions. I could go on all day with this video, but I don't want this video to be too long. I really need people to think and not don't end up being distracted from the real issues, all right? I'm not saying that, we shouldn't be held accountable for our actions, that we shouldn't apply ourselves, because we should. Because in this society, as a black person, we work twice as hard for half the results. But we have got to learn to we can't let these entertainers always give us all of our knowledge and everything we're supposed to understand and know. Y'all better start reading some books, man. Don't let Ben Carson and Pharrell get y'all confused about what's going on. All right? I know Barack's in office. We like him too, but don't get confused. I'm out. Subscribe. Let me know what you think. And there'll be some more videos from this series coming up. My Army is Dead series. I'm going to bring it back and some of the other things. All right, I'm out.